Actors, we've all got issues, so let's talk about them. I'm Juan Ayala, and welcome to Actors with Issues. Each week, we bring you interviews with actors from across TV, film, and Broadway, taking many deep dives into their careers and getting into the successes, the struggles, and of course, the issues that they face as actors. That's enough about us. Let's dive into the episode. You know, today's guest from the Broadway stage, the CW's Arrow, She-Hulk, and his latest role is in the latest chapter of the Scream franchise in Scream 6. Please welcome to the stage, Josh Segarra. Josh, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Juan, thank you for having me.
So Scream 6, finally here, rave reviews so far and a killer opening weekend at the box office already. And, you know, we've seen these horror franchises come and go, some rise, some fall over the years, but Scream is still going strong after, you know, almost 30 years. So what is it about this franchise you think that just keeps people coming back?
I think it's funny. I think it's smart. I think that there's the right amount of jump in your seat. And with this one, it takes place in New York City. So they switch it up a little bit. I live in New York, I'm a New Yorker. So I always giggle thinking about what Ghostface would be doing if I saw him at the bodega on Sunday. After a full night of killing. He's just out there enjoying his bacon, egg, and cheese too. Like that's my jam. Eating a bag of hot Cheetos and a Gatorade. Let's go. We would get along just fine, me and Ghostface.
So I love all the Easter eggs throughout the movie, all these like references and connections to the other films. It feels like an Avengers level Scream with all these characters coming back too. You have Kirby back, Panettiere back in the franchise. Of course, Gale is in the movie. So how does it feel being part of like this legacy of films? Again, going almost 30 years now.
Honestly, Juan, it's a trip. Like, I remember exactly where I was when I saw Scream 1. I got a
Mm.
text from my buddy when they heard about, the movie coming out and I was cast. He was like, "Bro, do you remember that we saw this one at our buddy's house? And you remember how scared we were? It's so crazy that you're in this movie." And it's like, "I know, man." And like, I'm such a fan of these actors that you mentioned, of Courtney Cox and Hayden, like just becoming buddies with them throughout this journey. I'm the biggest fan of David Arquette. I've loved his work, and he's a wrestling legend, and I'm a wrestling fan. He's held the big gold belt, so just to join that long line of actors that have come before, it's an honor. It really is. And to Matt and Tyler, the Radio Silence guys, to William, I'm just super thankful to them for giving me this chance to let me come play. And I loved Melissa before I even got to work with her. I'm a big fan of hers. I love her work. So then go and play Danny. Oh man, we had a lot of fun.
And you know, with these films, each one is known for having this iconic opening scene, and each one is so different. I mean, we'll avoid spoilers as best as we can. I know the film's out, people have seen it, but just you know, in case anyone hasn't had the chance to go, but like this one was just so. I feel like I haven't been this surprised of these opening scenes since Scream 2. You know, that iconic one with Jada Pinkett Smith in the movie theater. That was just so weird that it was in public. And this one just felt like these twists and turns and all of that. So I'm curious if you have a favorite opening scene from this franchise.
Scream one. That horror Drew Barrymore scene. I mean, I couldn't pick up the phone for a while after that, and I was checking my sliding glass porch door for months after that. To me, that's always going to stay. I feel like that's a really iconic moment in film history.
Yeah.
All of it. It's in canon already. And I feel like that's one of the things that I love about this movie. I'm pumped that it's part of the movement of people going back to the movie theater. I love
Mhm.
going to the movie theater, and I know that people are out there holding on to their friends next to them, talking back to the screen. That's my jam.
Yeah.
Screaming, hollering, trying to guess who the killer is. It feels good. It feels. I love the feeling of getting scared with my friends. It's something in unison. It
Yeah.
connects us. You can laugh together, you can cry together, you can be scared together, and that's one of the best things about it.
Yeah. I got to be honest, you know, these films leave that sort of sense of dread on you, even
Yeah.
though they all have like a good ending and you're like, okay, everyone's safe, but you still leave, like you said, you know, you were checking your doors. I live in New York as well. So I was like, oh, I got to take the subway now. Man, come on. Or
Uh-huh.
to go into a bodega to get a chopped cheese. I'm like, come on.
Come
It's
on,
just
man.
but these movies are so filled with these twists and turns. So I'm curious, when was the last time that you were genuinely surprised of a big reveal in a horror movie?
Oh, good question. Probably, I have a vivid memory to the Purge movies. Just
Mm,
the idea of just what that would be like. I remember that
yeah,
first one when it came out, and I was just like, okay, one day where everybody just goes wild. And just that concept alone, I
yeah,
still think about, every once in a while you wonder if it's ever going to happen. You're like, please don't let this happen. We do not need this day. Probably that. But going back to Scream 1, Matt Lillard goes on to play Shaggy in Scooby Doo. But come on, man. Him revealing and him and Skeet Ulrich, I got to meet Skeet at the premiere.
yeah.
Those to me are the ones that stay in my brain. Like that one stays pretty solid in there. Just two best buds, very surprised that I end up being the killers. That's a great reveal right there.
Yeah, the fact that there was more than one it was a huge reveal, and then like the goofy best friend, you'd never think that it was him. And this again, this franchise is iconic for so many reasons. And so as an actor myself, I'm a firm believer that we're constantly learning and growing with every role that we have. So I'm curious, what would you say that you learned while working on Scream 6?
I've been asked a couple times, like, when were you most exhausted on set? Or, like, what was the most, what'd you have to put your body through the most? That latter scene,
Oh yeah.
it took us a few days to shoot that scene. Scenes
Oof.
like that take a little bit because you want to get good coverage inside the apartments, you want to get good coverage from the street, you want to get good coverage close up on the ladder. Juan, by day 5, Fabito, woo, these shoulders were sore. These forearms were tight. We
Oh
were
man.
comparing notes, and I can't even attest, like my stuff was nothing compared to the girls, because if you watch that scene closely,
Yeah.
they're doing all that stuff. So their
Yeah.
knees, their shins were
Oof.
banged up. But I'll tell you, it was like being a squad out there because every day we'd show up, go hard again. How many times are we going to do it today? Let's go again. How many? Let's go again. And they never left me hanging when it was my stuff on my side, my coverage. They did it 100%. And that's a trust and a sentiment to your team. And that's why
Yeah.
I know we'll forever be connected after this movie. I know we will.
So I'm curious with that scene in particular, was it like two sets on a soundstage, like the two apartments, or
No,
was it a
funnily
real
enough,
building?
no, a real building. Like so
Wow.
we had some days on a soundstage,
Mm,
and then we had some days at the real building. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure we did the real building first, which was awesome because you get to feel that real sensation of being that high up, and
yeah.
like you see the fall. And we were all standing there watching the fall. And that it doesn't matter that it's a movie. You're watching that happen and your
Yeah.
heart goes into your throat. You get a lump in your throat and then you have that feeling and then we go into coverage and you remember that feeling of what it would feel like. And even when you're shooting coverage, it was on a soundstage, but it wasn't a 5 foot drop under that ladder. We still had to have somewhat of a realistic, so it was probably 2 stories, 3 stories with pads
Wow.
on the bottom.
Yeah.
So we're still shooting that, and it's not all acting up there. Like there's
Yeah.
definitely moments of like, yo, please don't fall, Melissa, please don't fall. Like I love you too much. We're not trying to lose you on day 22. We gotta
Right.
finish this thing. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Josh, thank you so much. And again, congrats on the film. But yeah, take
Thanks
care.
a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Folks, sadly, that is all the time that we have with Josh today. But please go see Scream 6. It is playing in theaters now. I cannot stress enough how fantastic this movie is. If you love the Scream franchise, you will absolutely love this movie. And of course, you can give us a follow on Instagram at Actors with Issues. Give me a follow at Juan Ayala Official and subscribe to our show on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast for new episodes every week. I'm Juan Ayala. This is Actors with Issues, and we'll see you next week.